In this day and age, we are always in too much of a rush. We rush to grow up, to succeed, to make money, and to keep pace with others. We have grown accustomed to a fast-paced life, to chasing after the hustle and bustle, and to constantly comparing ourselves with others, anxious about winning or losing, gaining or missing out. Whenever our efforts do not yield immediate returns or visible results, we become restless, flustered, and consumed by inner turmoil, sometimes even wanting to give up. Yet, on this very land, there exists a life lesson, simple, healing, and profoundly real, embodied in the act of farming. Farming teaches us far more than just the cycle of spring sowing and autumn harvest. It instills a steady, grounded mindset. Take your time, settle your heart, and cultivate the soil with diligence. Time will eventually give you the answer. As a child, I spent most of my time in the countryside fields. My grandfather was a farmer all his life. He had little formal education and knew nothing of grand philosophies. He spent his days facing the earth and his back to the sky, toiling year in and year out. It was only after I grew up that I realized my grandfather had sown the deepest wisdom of life into those fields and lived it out in his daily existence. In my youth, I failed to grasp the meaning of farming. Watching my grandfather toil day after day, sowing in spring, cultivating in summer, harvesting in autumn, and storing the yield in winter, repeating the same arduous cycle year after year, I often wondered, was such a monotonous, exhausting, and repetitive routine truly worth it? To me, the outside world seemed dazzling and fast-paced, with everyone chasing shortcuts and rushing toward prosperity. The land, by contrast, seemed clumsy, slow, silent, and unhurried. Spring sowing was the ultimate test of patience. Every year, while the chill of winter still lingered and the soil remained cool, my grandfather would head out to the fields early. He was never impatient, nor did he ever cut corners. Turning the soil, loosening the earth, weeding, digging holes, sowing seeds, covering them up, and watering. Every movement was meticulous and steady, performed without haste or agitation. As a child, I was always impatient. The moment the seeds were in the ground, I would squat on the ridge of the field every day, gazing out and longing for them to sprout, grow tall, and bear fruit, all in a hurry. If I didn't see any changes in a day, I would grow impatient. If there was no movement after 2 days, I would feel disappointed, even tempted to dig up the soil just to see if the seed was actually growing. Whenever this happened, my grandfather would gently hold my hand and say with a smile, "Child, the land plays by the rules and honors its own integrity. Once a seed is sown, you must learn to wait. Growth cannot be rushed. Sprouting takes time. Taking root requires settling in. Blooming calls for accumulation, and bearing fruit demands patient watching." A person's life follows the same principle as farming. If you are too hasty, you won't grow well. Back then, I didn't grasp the deeper meaning. I simply felt the land was too slow, too clumsy. Yet, as I grew older, traversing the paths of education, life, and personal growth, and experiencing restlessness, anxiety, confusion, and internal struggle, I finally understood the philosophy of farming my grandfather spoke of. I came to understand the gentle, impartial life lessons taught by the land itself. In farming, impatience is the greatest pitfall. You cannot expect an immediate harvest right after sowing, nor crave instant returns the moment you put in effort, nor fret over the lack of results after only a little toil. The land never fails those who work steadily, yet it never favors the hasty. After the spring sowing comes the long, arduous labor of summer cultivation. The days of a crop's growth hold no dramatic transformations or instant surprises, only the repetition of daily toil. At the crack of dawn, one must head to the fields to weed. Under the scorching midday sun, one must still water and tend the seedlings. When wind and rain arrive, timely protection and care are required. For many days, you might not see the crops visibly shooting up or their foliage becoming noticeably lush. Everything seems quiet and uneventful. Yet, in those unnoticed days and nights, in those moments that appear to hold no change, the crops are quietly taking root, silently growing, and gathering strength, bit by bit settling in and becoming stronger. This is so much like our own lives. Often, our efforts, persistence, dedication, and the process of building our inner substance happen quietly, without fanfare. The days and nights spent studying and drilling through practice questions, the quiet accumulation of effort, the agonizing struggle to persevere, and the moments of silent self-healing. These are things unseen by others and yield no immediate, visible results. They can even plunge one into self-doubt, making the effort seem futile and the persistence in vain. Yet, every transformation in life stems from a period of taking root, unnoticed and uncelebrated. Those seemingly uneventful, repetitive days will eventually reveal the true meaning of your persistence. The soil never deceives, and time never fails to reward. The sweat you've shed, the hardships you've endured, and every solid step you've taken are quietly nourishing your life. Farming embodies the spirit of inclusiveness. The soil never discriminates between seeds. It shows no favoritism toward premium varieties nor disdain for weeds. It embraces every life that lands upon it and nurtures every form of growth. It welcomes the warm spring breeze and sunshine, just as it accepts the wind, rain, frost, and cold. It takes in the morning dew alongside the scorching summer sun. A crop's growth is rarely smooth sailing. It faces wind and rain, scorching heat, pests, and various setbacks. It is precisely these storms and setbacks that allow roots to dig deeper, branches to grow sturdier, and fruit to ripen more fully. Growth without challenge yields only fragility. It is the tempering through wind and rain that fosters resilience and strength. Our lives are much the same. No one's path of growth is entirely smooth, and no one's life is always free of trouble. Setbacks, pressure, confusion, and obstacles are the storms we must all weather. The trials that fail to defeat us ultimately make us more resilient. The hardships we endure become the source of our inner strength. Life's storms are not meant to crush us, but to help us take deeper root, walk more steadily, and grow stronger. Farming is the ultimate example of fairness. No shortcut in the world can rival the laws of the land. To those who slack off or cut corners, the soil returns only barrenness. To those who toil diligently, it yields a bountiful harvest. The laziness of spring inevitably turns into the regret of autumn, just as the sweat sown in spring transforms into the abundant fruits of autumn. My grandfather farmed his entire life, never resorting to shortcuts or half-hearted effort. While others might skimp on weeding, water carelessly, or rush through steps to save time, he remained steadfast and diligent. Consequently, while others' fields became overgrown with weeds and yielded meager harvests, his were always neat and orderly, producing bountiful crops year after year. The land plays no favorites. It cares nothing for your background, talent, or luck, only for your effort and persistence. You reap what you sow. This is the simplest and fairest truth in the world. Life is much the same. Every pleasant surprise and stroke of good fortune is the result of accumulated effort over time. Every great achievement and moment of glory comes from day after day cultivation. As autumn arrives, the harvest is upon us. After a spring of sowing and a summer of steadfast care, the fields have shed their youthful green for a sea of golden hues. With the wind rippling through the wheat and the scent of ripening rice filling the air, all the long waits, the tedious repetition, and the arduous toil find their gentlest, most fulfilling resolution in this moment. Standing amidst the bountiful fields, I finally understand that farming is not merely about growing crops. It is about cultivating one's mindset, one's life, and one's character. Farming teaches us to cast aside restlessness and find composure, to let go of anxiety and learn the art of waiting, to abandon the pursuit of quick gains and embrace steadfast perseverance.